Hey everybody, this is Josh with you today. We're going to go over something that is very important and that is the cause for a lot of unnecessary violence and deaths due to improper handgun usage or any kind of firearms. And it is firearm safety. Right now we're going to go over handguns. We're going to go over two different kinds of handguns with different functions, and we'll show you the different safe ways to load, check, chamber check that is, decock with double single action over there, and the thumb safety. And we'll show you how to do all those things with a couple of different guns here. We got my Springfield XD, this is in 45 auto, and my P22, which is of course in 22. Now, to safely do different function, safety drills, reload drills, chamber check drills, you need to have dummy ammo. You don't want to take your full metal jacket or ball around and throw that in the chamber. Even though the gun should be safe, it's not safe enough for you to throw this in the tube without having your finger anywhere near the trigger to do checks on it. That's rule number one. Never assume that your gun is not going to fail, because it will. At the worst opportunity, it will. Or, who knows, maybe you move forward and you push your finger on the trigger. Who knows what happens? Just use a dummy round, okay? I have some homemade dummy rounds here, and I'm not going to tell you how to make homemade dummy rounds. One, because the standards in firearm ammunition is not as great as everybody thinks it is, and those primers can fail on you randomly. And it's a very interesting experience, and it'll damage your hearing pretty badly. Now, when you're using a dummy round, you need to have something where you can definitively tell that there's no primer. You can't tell if there's no powder, but obviously if there's no primer, there's no way for it to fire. So you make sure your round are not live. You load them into the gun. Treat it like it's live ammunition. Just know that it isn't. Now, in action movies and crap like that, you see people going, and they're smacking the magazine into the gun. That's wrong. It's stupid. And if you have a gun that isn't specifically combat-oriented, the rounds can get upended in the magazine, and then they won't chamber properly. It'll cause a jam, a stovepipe, any number of things. So don't do that. Proper way to reload a magazine: you fired your 13 rounds, you got the magazine in your hand. This thing called indexing. It's actually a totally natural thing for myself, but they teach you to do it because your index finger can find a particular area without looking. Take a magazine, you push it all the way in one motion. You don't smack it, you don't push it in and then pop it, nothing like that. You put it all the way in. And you can see right there, the round is ready to go into the chamber. Everything is cool. Now, another mistake a lot of rookies and people that have been mistrained do, they're going to reach up with their thumb, they're going to pull down on that, and they're going to drop the slide. That is a bad idea. What you want to do is reach up with your left hand, pull it all the way back until you hear that click, drop it forward. Now we have a dummy round in the chamber. The loaded chamber indicator is up. The striker indicator is on, telling me the gun is cocked. Everything is in the action state. Okay, now, to be totally safe, we are going to show you how to unload the gun, which is the next thing you need to know how to do. Take the magazine out so you don't accidentally put another round in the chamber. You pull the slide back the same way you did to load it. Your round is going to eject. The direction of the ejection port, obviously, this one is kind of from the top all the way to the right, and the direction that your ejector is going to shoot it into. Most guns will eject in a specific direction. When you eject a full-size round, it's going to eject differently than brass, so you need to do this drill to know how it's going to work. We take the gun, put it back in the magazine. Best way to reload, take your hand, direction like that, put it over sideways, one motion. Everything is ready to go. We're empty, we're loaded. We know it's a dummy round, so we're all good. Okay. Chamber check. Now, there's a lot of argument about the fact that there's a scalloping at the front of the barrel, which people like to use for chamber checking. See how easy that is? Pull it back a little tiny bit, and you can go there. There's two problems with that. One, it puts your hand way too close to the end of the gun, So if the gun does actually go off, you could get burned or who knows what else. It also puts the gun in an unusable position. And if you pull the gun part of the way back, it can go out of battery, and then it won't always go all the way back into battery. That's really hard to explain in a short video, but believe me, take my word for it. If you mess around with stuff like that, you can force the gun to be part of the way in battery, like so, and it doesn't close. And if it doesn't close, you can't fire the gun. So you're basically the dead man in a gunfight when you're trying to check your chamber. So do it like the old-fashioned way. So you got the scalps on the back. Pull it back. You see it's there. You pull it back a ways. And go all the way forward. Don't ever pull it back just a tiny little bit in the middle or all the way. If you pull it back all the way, it's going to eject. So basically find a good medium between the length of your cartridge, which I don't have one here, but just know how long the cartridge is. Go that far. With guns like these, there is no actual external safety. There's no magazine disconnect. The only thing it has is a Glock-style trigger. Basically, one half of this trigger pull is the trigger safety. The rest of it is the actual trigger pull. So, when you're ready to fire, you bring your gun up, and that first little bit of the trigger pull is actually you disengaging the safety. Now, you need to take your gun out if you have a Glock, a Springfield XD, Smith & Wesson M&P, the Walther P99 that has the Glock-style trigger. They call it safe action, which I am very averse to that really stupid name. You need to go out and you need to shoot it so you know what the difference is between a full trigger pull and that little bit that takes the trigger to the not unsafe position, to the fire position. That is your external safety. You need to know that. If you're going to carry a gun like this, you need to know when it's going to fire and when it's just off safe. So you can hold it up in your ready position. When the time comes, you can drop your target. Okay, we're going to go ahead and show you that safe unloading procedure. You get your finger all the way outside of the trigger guard, preferably on the side of the slide. Take the gun, eject the round. To show that it's safe, lock it open. If you don't know how to lock it open, try it a few times and you'll figure it out. Moving on. This is a Walther P22. I have no 22 dummy rounds, so I'm not going to show you how to load it per se. We are going to show you, we got an empty magazine. We have an empty chamber. We're going to reload it the same way. This little tiny magazine, you don't really index it much. You just force it in with your thumb. And unfortunately, I have to pull the slide back and pull that down. But just if you're loading it normally, do the exact same thing. You just yank it all the way back and let it go. Okay, now we've got the gun cocked. Safety is off. It's in single action mode now. Single action mode is a much lighter trigger pull than your average trigger pull on a double action, the purported safe actions, any of that stuff. Single action is a very light trigger pull. So, put it on safe. Safe means, in this gun, there's something blocking the hammer from the firing pin. So the firing pin can't get surged forward and set off the round. So if you drop it, it didn't go all the way forward. Yeah, it's blocking the hammer from the trigger. Okay, now, say we went out and did whatever we were going to do. This gun, and some guns like it, you can lock the safety on, and then you can safely decock it. Finger out of the trigger guard, bring your thumb up, pull it back, make sure you are between the hammer and the front of the gun so that you can block any of that motion if for some reason you can't hold on to it properly, you slip or something. Then you'll pull the trigger gently. You set the hammer forward slowly, put the safety off. Now we are in full safe mode. The gun is not cocked. The safety is off. We know the magazine is dry. We know the chamber is clear. Now, a chamber check with this kind of gun is a little different because of how small it is. What you're going to do is you're going to use the front half of your hand, depending on the size of your hand, and you're going to have to really get in there and look. Technically, you should also be able to see the extractor there snapped over a round. can't see that, you just pull it back a little ways. And with this gun, it goes back this far, and you can tell that would be about 3/4 of the length of a .22 long rifle round. So that's the safe place to do a chamber check. Pull it back to here, let it go. That's a chamber check. Now, decock. Ready to go. This was Josh showing you a couple of pistol safety tips. That's pretty much it. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any comments, go ahead and send them on. If you have any complaints, you should probably keep them to yourself, but you can send them too. Hopefully this was informative, and Josh signing out. Oh, yeah. You should also note that all of these guns generally claim they have a drop safety, but some of them randomly fail. So don't ever drop a loaded gun. Ever. And of course, the loaded gun concept goes all the way back to, did you chamber check it? If you don't chamber check it, then it should always be assumed that it could be loaded. Treat every gun as if it was loaded. Every gun as if it was hot. Copy? All right.